Mike here from Mountain Wellness. And one of the biggest struggles with making a transition from mouth breathing to nose breathing while exercising, because again, during exercise, almost the entire population breathes through their mouth still. There's only a small segment that will nasal breathe through all their exercise events. And even in the athlete community, that there's now a small grassroots effort, and it is growing because they're understanding the benefits of nasal breathing versus mouth breathing. And of course, we always consider mouth breathing dysfunctional breathing. It's a way that we have been, for the most part, raised and to believe that it was okay. But of course, now science has told us, and my own personal experience, Corey Reeds and I, and many of the breathwork experts are all fully aware of how much better nasal breathing is for you and for your body. Longevity, creativity, focus. I talk about this all the time and how it changed my life. But here we're going to talk about the simple fact, how do we, when we're making the transition from mouth to nose, it is difficult, especially during exercise. When I first learned how to do this, I was trail running, and I decided while I was on the run to switch to nasal breathing because someone said it was a good idea while we were running. Well, that was really tough to do. I remember finishing that run thinking, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's too difficult. But of course, there is a process of making that happen. I will give you this one technique for when you're running. There are ways to open up your nasal passages without shoving something in your nose or wearing nasal strips. You can do all of those things, but depending on where you are, for instance, if I'm running uphill and I need more oxygen, I will simply just do this and push my nostrils up a little bit. And that immediately opens up my airways in the nasal cavity, and I'm able to get enough air in to finish my run. I know Corey Reed has a technique like this where he's spreading the nasal area here in the front, just opening up those passages to get a little bit more oxygen. I don't believe you want to suddenly get a lot of oxygen in through the nose. I remember listening to a guy, actually one of my instructors through The Art of Breath, I think it was Rob Wilson, was saying they were experimenting, because many of us do that in the breathwork world, with how to get more air in. And I believe he put something in his nose to expand his nostrils. But remember, your body is not used to that. You don't go from mouth breathing to nose breathing overnight, shove something in your nose, and all of a sudden you're trying to get all that air in through the nose to train yourself. And I think he actually hurt his nasal passages. It really hurt him for a couple of days. I remember him describing how much pain he was in. So I like to make the transition gently. I don't like to use anything in or outside of the nose. I know you'll notice football players who use outside, they'll use the dilators that are just the nose tape on the outside that spread open the nasal passages. Again, that is to get more oxygen in when they are on the field breathing nasally. So again, those things can work for you, but you've got to go at it in a very gentle way. You don't want to force a lot of air in quickly, because you likely have not trained over time. And your nose, when you don't train nasal breathing and you don't train proper breathing mechanics, your system is basically atrophied. It'd be the same as going to the gym and you've got a flabby arm. It's like it's not ready to start picking up a ton of weight and going to work every day. And you're going to hurt yourself if you overdo it. So it's the same approach with just taking your time with that transition. And again, you can, when you just need a little bit of a push, you can simply open up your nasal passages a little bit. When you're running uphill or you need that extra hit, in a sporting event. Now, if you need your hands for that sporting event, then yes, like you see the players, they will use an outside, a little bit of tape, but we're only doing little bits at a time until, to make sure that we don't overdo and injure ourselves.